Israel Adesanya's legacy is cemented. It is cemented in history. That is according to Israel Adesanya. It sure sounds right, doesn't it, guys? Do you remember the time that Kurt Angle won the Olympics? He drops down on his knees and he said, "If I die tonight, I'll be the happiest man alive." Do you remember how it sounded right? But if you actually played with the words, if I died tonight, I'd be anything alive. Like, you see how it becomes a problem? And they're just words. We don't give Kurt a hard time for that. He had won an Olympic gold medal and was celebrating. They're just words. Can use the wrong words. And it's the word cement. It's the word cement that I'm hung up on. I can make one phone call, get two fat guys to come pour cement in my driveway tonight. My cat walks in it, I call them, they come back tomorrow. I don't like it a month from now. I go jackhammer it up in about an hour, and I put something else down. Now, I grew up in the world of construction. I've poured a lot of cement. I've had to jackhammer a lot of cement up, and I'm sure that Izzy didn't mean it from that standpoint. My concern, and why I can't let it go, is I am searching for meaning in this fight for Izzy. I'm doing that, in disclosure, guys, on behalf of Izzy. I have a thing. I have a thing with Izzy. But it also draws me to him. It's also why I root for him. Which is, when I was getting ready to fight Anderson Silva, as I was coming up, there was this young kid from New Zealand who had a Twitter account of about 40 people that teased me. And that person of 40 people from New Zealand was a young Israel Adesanya. And I just share with you that I appreciate that. Because Izzy was going against me as a way of supporting Anderson, and he was supporting Anderson because that was his hero. So years later, when Izzy had to be in there with Anderson, and Anderson doesn't know about the tweets. I don't know if anybody knows this about the tweets. I don't know if Izzy knows that I know about the tweet. But when I watched Izzy standing across from Anderson, and I knew how Izzy looked at Anderson, and that he'd even come out and defended him before, I just thought, what a hard thing that is to do. And by the way, that was a very close fight. That was a really good fight. It was very competitive, but it was only 3 rounds. Anderson won one of them. If they wanted to give the fight to Anderson, like, it was one of those where the crowd would have booed and that would have been the wrong call, but they could have done it. It was one of these things, and I contend for you, yes, Anderson is awesome. But what I suggest for you is that Izzy as a human being was also up against something. He was put in a very hard spot. Would you like to fight one of your heroes? Would you like to take from this guy what you helped to give him in the first place? It's a hard spot. Right? You're a professional. You find a way. He went and found a way. But think about that. Then you get Izzy against Sean Strickland. Now, Sean Strickland has a tremendous set of skills. Sean Strickland, as a kickboxer, is not Israel Adesanya. Not any way that you want to argue it or do it. And not only did Sean beat Adesanya, he beat him purely with kickboxing. And he did it for 5 straight rounds. But I want to bring that to you. Because the part about that fight that didn't work for Izzy didn't want to fight Sean. It wasn't that he was against fighting him. That wasn't the... Izzy had put 100% of his physical and his mental prowess into Dricus du Plessis. And Izzy can get really angry. But he can only do it at one person at a time. Just one of those things. This is just how he works. So when that person became Sean, which isn't the person that Izzy was planning to beat up, it became a problem. And there's the number one reason and number one thing that you could attribute to that performance. Okay? Izzy is now in a spot more complicated than them both, in my opinion. In my opinion. To go out there and fight Imamov in a 5-round main event is already off of pay-per-view. That has never happened. Not since he busted onto the scene. He's in a non-title fight. That has never happened. Not since Izzy busted onto the scene. What's he fighting him for? Like, what happens with Izzy if he wins? It does not draw him in to a Strickland Duplessis winner. At least not if we're going to look at the rankings and things like this. You get a little shake-up and Strickland comes out of it. But Izzy's just not going to get in front of Chimaev. Nobody is. But what if Izzy calls for Chimaev? You're having a totally different conversation. If Izzy calls for Chimaev, Izzy is likely to have Chimaev, and then we're just have to figure out the winner of Sean and Drake is right. I mean, Izzy has this power. Izzy will do more things with a win in one microphone than other guys could do with 3 years of being completely undefeated. He has a unique skill. You know, Izzy Adesanya has never called for a fight that he didn't get. Are you aware of that? He is batting 100%. He never went to the media. He never did an interview and went after a single fight, none, that he didn't get. And they didn't all make a lot of sense. We can all say how much we respect and how good Yoel Romero is. You could not put Yoel Romero in that position at that time. But they did, because Izzy made it happen. And I'm sharing for you, like, that's some fun and that's some power. And to get to that spot, right, sometimes you got to walk through fire to get to this promised land. So to get to the only spot of the night that can help Adesanya and his career moving forward, it is not beating Imamov, believe it or not. It's what Izzy's going to do on the microphone, and he only gets that microphone if he gets a win over Imamov. It's a complicated position. And it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes perfect sense. I want to fix my career. I want to straighten it out. I want to go in this direction. I'm fighting the guy tonight, not for a belt. I'm fighting a guy not on pay-per-view. I'm fighting a guy. All of these first for Izzy, who he never asked to fight. This fight was someone else's idea, just like Strickland. And now I read an interview from Izzy, and I know how mental the game is for him. I know when he's fighting Kelvin Gastelum and he mouths in his corner, having no idea it's picked up on camera, I'm willing to die for this. When it's 2 rounds apiece and he has to come out and out-effort Kelvin Gastelum, not easy to do. And can he find it? Because when he talks about my legacy is cemented in history, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about we can lose to Imamov and it's okay? Or are we talking about regardless of the outcome of Imamov? Because it sounds to me like we are. I don't know how else to interpret it. It was not with a win over Imamov, my legacy is cemented. That would have made cement sound strong. But the way this was worded made me realize the substance of cement isn't that strong. It can be broken up and it can be replaced. I don't have a problem with this statement. I do believe Izzy to be the greatest middleweight of all time. I do not believe Izzy will win that argument right now because it's a popularity contest and it's going to go to Anderson out of respect. But whether it's Anderson from popularity or not, I believe Izzy to be the best middleweight of all time. Pretty hard to argue when they went head to head, correct? But that's for me to say. That's for you to say. That's for us to go into the underground and say. I'm a little concerned that he said it.